Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrath Maulana Qamar Uzzaman Saheb, which took place on Saturday, the 27th of Muharram 1446, corresponding with the English date 3rd of August 2024. Hazrat Wala is speaking about that of niyat. Imam Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala says, An-niyatu al-qasd wa hiya azimatul qalb. Niyat is an intention, rather it is the firm resolution of the heart. Allama Bayzawi rahimahullah ta'ala says that niyat refers to getting the heart ready and letting it go into the direction in which it sees perfection, completion, fruition of something which may be immediate or later. And the Shariat says it is that intention which is in the direction of carrying out some type of work or the other, but solely seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and executing His order. Now if we go back and open up the books of Sirat, we would find that clear. The Muslims made hijrah from Makkah to Medina so that they could establish the shi'ar, the great symbols of the deen, and also in compliance with the order of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. However, one individual made hijrah from Makkah to Medina and he did not intend that great fazilat and privilege of hijrat. Rather, his intention was so that he could marry a woman by the name of Qais. And it is for that reason he was eventually called by that, Muhajiru Qais, that the person who made hijrat for Lady Qais. Now it comes in the hadith regarding this year. Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala an says that he heard Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam saying, Ya ayyuhan nas, O people, innamal a'malu bin niyyah, that actions are judged by their intentions, wa innama limri'im ma nawa, and the individual will have for himself according to what he had intended. فَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. So whoever's hijrat was for Allah and His Rasul, then whoever made hijrat for Allah and His Rasul, then his hijrat would be for Allah and His Rasul. And whoever made hijrat for some dunya purpose so that he may achieve that, or for some woman so that he can get married to her, then his hijrat would be for that which he had intended, for which he had made hijrat for. Now this particular hadith is from the category from the ahadith which are considered to be fundamental and foundational regarding our deen. Now here, if you look quite clearly, there are two people who are making hijrat. Both of them have left their cities which they grew up and which they were born in, their families, their beloved ones and their neighbors. They covered a certain amount of distance between Makkah to Medina, and this was also with much difficulty. Thereafter they were established and stayed in Medina. However, when you look at the first one, he done this year so that he could establish the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the second one done it so that he could fulfill his desire in getting married to some woman. So the amal, the action that was carried out by these two individuals was just one amal. However, both of them's intentions were completely different. The intention of the first was corresponding with the amal that he had carried out, and therefore he made hijrat wat haq, and that was established for him. However, the niyat of the second one was not corresponding with that which Shar'i Hijrat is for. Therefore, he did not receive the virtue, the merit, and the reward of that Hijrah. And in that place there was nothing for him. Now when we have understood this here clearly, then we would have understood everything regarding the niyat and what is actually niyat for and what is niyat all about. Now, our Hazrat Wala is saying, Allah Ta'ala niyato ko durust farma de, Allah Ta'ala make our niyats correct. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, he would take the people and he would ask them to leave his majlis. And what was it all about? So that he can turn their direction to this important point that listen, your coming here and going here should not be customary. Niyat can just change in a second. So, what is it all about? The maqsad should be the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah ta'ala has actually commissioned us to come into this world for this particular reason, so that we can live, die, do everything for Him. So our ibadat must be so that we can gain the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazrat Maulana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi used to say, saying or taking the name of Allah just once is better than this entire world and whatever it contains. So a disciple writes to Hazrat Maulana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi that I am pareshan, I am restless, and I am unable to find time to fulfill my wazaif. So then he goes on to say that carry it out, fulfill it, complete it, even though you may be walking, doing your chores, standing, sitting, lying down, whatever it is. And do it even though your heart is not together and it's merely just by your tongue. Even if that's the case, continue, because if the tongue has fulfilled its duty by carrying out dhikr, and Allah Ta'ala will so do that He would send the tongue to Jannah, then tell me, will Allah Ta'ala then send the remaining organs of the body to Jahannam? Now all of this is written. I am saying it because it is greatly possible that many have not read it. But it was for this reason that Maulana Abdul Bari Nadwi actually made ruju to Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab and took him as his mentor. Hazrat Tanvi also spoke abundantly about rectifying one's niyat. I seen myself, our Hazrat Wala is saying, that Hazrat Maulana Abrarul Haq Sahab, he used to make his takbir-e-tahrima, and some seconds later he would break and then repeat and start with the takbir-e-tahrima again. And most probably I think actually that he was not finding that desired niyat which he intended, due to which he refreshened and he repeated his intention again. Now this was our akabirin, and this was the importance they attached to niyat. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab over and over again would go on to tell us that why have you come here? What do you wish to achieve? And we would say that so that we can learn and then we can make amal. And then he would go on to say that's very, very difficult. But make niyat. Make niyat that you are going to do this. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to speak much on a niyat. Now one of his own colleagues came to Alahbadi, and after staying, in the end when he was leaving, he turned to us, our Hazrat Wala is saying, and he told us, this man, this personality, referring to Hazrat Shah Wasiullah Alahbadi, from the times of his student days and then in Tana Bhawan, he only spoke about ikhlas and rectifying the niyat. And today when I have come here, he's only speaking about that very same thing. Allah Ta'ala सबके नीयत को दुरुस्त फरमा दे. Allah Ta'ala rectify and correct all our needs and our intentions. You know, Hazrat Maulana Abdul Bari Nadwi asked Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, Hazrat, आप देवबंद में रहे? Did you stay, sorry, आप थाना बावन में रहे? Did you stay in Thana Bhawan? So Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab said, after Deoband, the only place that I stayed was with Hazrat Tanvi in Deoband. He says that, but I didn't see you there. So Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab said, gee, but I saw you there. Nevertheless, a man of prominence, he didn't say it to him, but he said it to us. He went on to say this, that listen, I went there, I didn't go there to show someone that I was there. I went for my Islah, I done my work, and once I was done, मैं jungle पकड़ता था. Then I used to go out into the fields, into the open, and I used to go in, do my work. From all of this, we also learn that to take out some time and free yourself for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this solitude, the importance of it. Now here also we have gathered, and our maqsad is only one maqsad, it is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes a person is even learning, he is even teaching, but he doesn't have fursat and opportunity for these type of articles, topics, etc. So those who are teaching also should keep this in front of them. You know, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, his entire life he kept on repeating this here, that regarding certain person, he stayed with a sheikh, and people would fear him because he was so close to the sheikh that he might poison the mind of the sheikh or say this or that or the other, and people were scared about that there. But nevertheless, after that sheikh passed away, this person even abandoned that of salat, and people told him that what's going on? I mean, at least read your salat. And he said, I didn't even stay for one single day with the purpose and intention of Islah and reformation. Nevertheless, this is a life of a few days. Isn't this 10 or 20 years? The total of it isn't it a collection of some days? So we need to look at that. Niyatul mu'min khayrum min amali. The intention of a believer is better than the deed itself. Now let's go to speak about these things that spoil, contaminate, and destroy the good intention. These things penetrate and get to the niyat and destroy the beauty of the niyat. The purity of it, rather it changes the direction of a person. The essence of ikhlas is to clear out everything that can possibly penetrate to it, and to look after the beauty and the purity of that intention. Now, this is something that demands some great sacrifice. Now, from all these things that can penetrate, spoil, or destroy the beauty of our niyat, the first one there, rather the most important one, is that of riya and ostentation. Now, what is this riya and ostentation? It is when a person seeks by means of his ibadat and making it manifest. What does he seek by means of that? He seeks status and honor in the hearts of people. Now this is a quality of the munafiqeen which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has described them with in the Quran Majid. Allah ta'ala is saying, Innal munafiqeen yukhadi'un Allah. The munafiqeen wish, they want to deceive Allah. وَهُوَ خَادِعُهُمْ. Rather that cannot happen. How can they deceive Allah? Rather, it is the opposite way round. It will come back flying into their faces. وَإِذَا قَامُوا إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ قَامُوا كُسَالَى. When they stand up for salat, they stand up very lazily. يُرَاءُونَ النَّاسِ. Showing people. Riya, ostentation. وَلَا يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. They remember Allah not, but just a little. Now what is this riya and ostentation? In reality, it is a shirkul asghar, the minor type of shirk, like how it is mentioned in the hadith. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is mentioned, Inna akhwafa ma akhafu alaykum ash-shirkul asghar. The thing that I fear most against you, for you, is that of the minor type of shirk. The Sahaba engaged Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam by asking him, what is this shirk asghar, the minor shirk, O Rasul of Allah? Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Ar-riya, it is show and ostentation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say on the day of Qiyamah, when He is rewarding His servants for their deeds that they carried out, He would say to them, اذهبوا إلى الذين كنتم تراؤون في الدنيا. Go to those people that you were actually showing in the dunya. You done the deeds, but it was for show for someone else. Now just go and have a look. Go to them and see if you can get any reward by them. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned that He is the most independent of these partners from this type of shirk that people carry out. They do it, and in there they have so many partnerships. They have this person and that person, and they have Allah as well. Therefore, man amila amalan ashraka fihi ma'i ghayri taraktuhu wa shirkahu. The person who carries out an amal that in which he ascribes others with me as well in that particular amal, then I abandon him and his partners, his shirk that he has carried out. Now Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was very thirsty about this, rather determined completely and totally upon the point and this aspect of purifying of the nafs, specifically from this abhorrent ailment and sickness, which actually brings to an end amal. It removes it and it destroys it, and it leaves nothing for the companion of this particular amal except that of grief and sorrow and regret. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opening up this completely and totally and warning about it. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has mentioned that on the day of Qiyamah, when people will be interrogated and decisions would be made against them, the first from amongst the first people that will come will be that person who had been martyred. He would be brought, he would be reminded of Allah's ni'mats, the ni'mats that he had been given. He would acknowledge it, he would understand it. Allah Ta'ala will ask him that, what did you do in this dunya? He would go on to say then that I fought for you until I became shaheed. Allah Ta'ala will tell him, you have spoken a lie. However, you fought so that it could be said that you are so brave, and exactly that was said about you. Thereafter it will be commanded regarding him. He will then be dragged and thrown headlong into Jahannam. Thereafter, a person who learnt knowledge and taught it, he read the Quran, he would be brought, he would be reminded of the ni'mats of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He'll understand it, he'll recognize it, he'll acknowledge it. Allah Ta'ala will ask him, what did he do in the dunya about all of this? He would say that I learnt knowledge and I taught it. I read the Quran for you. Allah Ta'ala will say, you have spoken a lie. However, you learned knowledge so that people could say you an alim. You read Quran so that people could say that you are a qari, and that's exactly what was said about you. Thereafter, the command would be given regarding this person. He would then be dragged and thrown headlong into fire, hell, Jahannam. Thereafter, that person would be brought whom Allah Ta'ala had given abundantly and vastly from different portions and types of wealth. He would be reckoned, he would be reminded of the ni'mats, he will acknowledge it, recognize it, accept it. Allah Ta'ala will ask him, what did he do about it in this dunya? He would go on to say, I did not leave any path that you desired that wealth be spent there, except that I spent wealth there in that path. Allah Ta'ala will say to him that you have spoken a lie. However, you done all of that so people could say that you are so generous, and that's exactly what was said. Thereafter, the order and the instruction would be given. This person would then be dragged and thrown headlong into the fire of Jahannam. Our Hazrat Wala is saying, ये hadith sharif غاية درجة موجب عبرت ونصيحت है. This hadith sharif is pointing out to us and so filled so much with admonition and for us to take nasihat, and we should keep it in our minds and in our hearts, whether a person is a shaheed or an alim or a generous person. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. Now, we are warned in this particular hadith, Allah Ta'ala accordingly give us the tawfiq in the hidayat of making amal. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala make our islah, rectify us and correct us completely. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of carrying out ibadat, in which we seek the pleasure of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, due to which our abode would then become Jannah. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه